Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video, and in today's video we're going to be going over the Runeblade cards, kind of talking about different evaluations of cards, not going crazy in depth, but just giving my general thoughts. It's not too many cards here, so it should be like a 20-minute video if you want to stick around. Kind of give you my thoughts on what cards I think are going to be more staples than others, and just go from there. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. You can just click on the video. If you're a long-standing supporter, y'all are amazing as always. Feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below to get access to my videos early and also be in touch with a great community with over 400 members. So we're doing really good. So most all of the Runeblade cards have been spoiled. Looking at the spoiler tracker, which if you are curious on how to get to this, you just go to the February website and then go to Dusk Till Dawn tab and click on this tracker sheet, and it'll pull it up. So right now, 7 out of 8 legendaries have been revealed. The Fabled has not been revealed. We have a couple Majestics still floating around. Most of the set, though, has been revealed. We actually only have 8 cards left to be revealed for the most part. But when it comes to Runeblade and Shadow Runeblade, all the cards, as you can see, have been revealed. We are not waiting on any other card, which is really good for doing this. So to start off, obviously Vincent Iron Maiden. At the start of your turn, banish a card from your hand. If you do, create a rune chant token. Whenever you play a shadow non-attack action card, you may pay 1 life. If you do, the next rune chant effect that would deal damage this turn cannot be prevented. So it can't be pitched for, can't be prevented with Quell, can't be prevented with any of that stuff. So a couple quick notes of her, just for everyone's awareness. 1, her first ability, at the start of your turn, banish a card from your hand. If you do, create a rune chant token. For anyone that's aware, this is a requirement. It is not an optional thing. You can't just like choose to or to not do it. You have to do it. So because of that, you're gonna have to have good hand management with Vincent. You're not gonna be able to just choose when and when not to banish stuff. And I know why they did that, because that would have been really crazy of too much flexibility. So there is a stingent. She has to pay, right? She has to pay the price for being able to do what she does. And so the reason that's important is because, let's just say for whatever reason, I'll just use a simple example, you get crippling crushed. And let's say you have 1 Rune Gate card in hand, and that Rune Gate card gets randomly discarded from crippling crush's effect. At the start of your turn, you still have to banish a card. It may not be a Rune Gate card, so basically you're milling a card for no reason. You'll get your Rune Chant, but that's it, right? You have to play it. You have to do it. So keep that in mind. Whenever you play a Shadow non-attack action card, you may pay life. If you do, the next Rune Chant effect that would deal damage this turn can't be prevented. That's really useful for cards that have, if a hero has lost life this turn, X happens. Basically, if you can play a Shadow non-attack action card before that, you're guaranteed to get that, because most of these cards say when the combat chain closes, do X equal to X amount of heroes that lost life this turn. That includes you. So if you pay that 1 life to make sure the rune chant hits, then that counts as 1 hero. So like Deathly Delight says, when the combat chain closes, gain life equal to the number of heroes who lost life this turn. So if you lose life, in order to make sure your rune chant hits that you just made at the start of your turn when you play Deathly Delight, and then they can't prevent that rune chant, so 2 heroes lost life this turn, so you gain 2 life, right? So you lost 1 life to gain 2 life. Really useful. So you're looking for shadow non-attack actions that have go again most of the time, or can give pumps to your Rune Gate cards, or make more rune chants themselves. So you can kind of see where she's at. So her signature weapon is Flail of Agony. Once per turn action, pay 1 life, attack. When this hits, create a rune chant token. I don't know how useful this will be. I think it'll be used on off turns when you can't really do a whole lot. Maybe you had to block out in your whole turn. You can pay 1 life, attack with this, create a rune chant. Because people aren't going to want to block this for the most part. There are going to be some heroes where it's going to be harder to get this off, but for the most part, this is almost like the wizard one, where it's like pitch a blue for 1 arcane draw card. No one ever pitched to block that. It's the same thing with this. No one's going to want to block this. So you're almost always going to get the rune chant from it. But because it didn't have go again, it's a little bit interesting. I think you're going to play it on off turns when you're just trying to set up for a new turn, in my opinion. Grimoire of the Haunt. This is a one-time use card. It's offhand. So if you're playing Flail, you can run this. Instant, pay 1 resource, banish this, create an Eloquence token, Arcane Barrier 1, and it has Blood Debt. So once you use it, it just starts taxing you on Blood Debt, which kind of sucks. So it's an interesting card. Eloquence tokens in Vincent, I still don't understand the purpose. There's 2 cards that make an Eloquence token. This one does, and Requiem of the Damned does. And so Eloquence tokens, for those who aren't aware, say whenever you play a non-attack action card, you break the Eloquence token, and your non-attack action card gets Go Again. If you look through Vincent's natural kit, she only has 1 non-attack action that doesn't have Go Again, and that's Funeral Moon. And this can technically be played at instant speed. It's the only card that's a non-attack action that doesn't have Go Again. And Requiem of the Damned, which also creates an Eloquence token. Sorry, so these 2 cards are the only 2 cards that create an Eloquence token, or need an Eloquence token to get Go Again. All the other ones have Go Again. Shadow Puppetry, which you're going to run, has Go Again. If you run Howl from Beyond, it's going to have Go Again. Captain's Call, if you run that. Some of the new ones like Envelop in Darkness, Runic Reckoning, not this one because it's a Visceral Specialization, Putrid Stirrings, sorry. All of those have Go Again. So it's going to be interesting to see like why Vincent cares about Eloquence tokens. If you know in the comments, like design-wise, why you think she cares about it, let me know, but I haven't gotten to put my finger on it yet. Widespread Annihilation. So before I evaluate this card, when it comes to RuneGate cards right now, at least the ones spoiled that we know, which we know all of them at this point, there's 2 cost RuneGates, 3 cost RuneGates, and then there's 1 4-cost RuneGate. It's the only one. Actually, there's one more. That's technically a non-attack action, I think. No, I think it's the only one. So the 2 cost RuneGate cards are going to be the premium, because I think most Vincent turns, making 2 rune chants won't be too hard. You're going to have cards like Oath of the Arknight. You're going to have cards like, if you run it like Runeblade Incantation, you're going to have cards like even Funeral Moon. You're going to have cards like Envelop in Darkness that can create a single rune chant on that turn. Maybe you can get together 2. And you're always going to get a single rune chant as long as you banish something from Vincent at the start of your turn. So you always start with 1 rune chant, essentially. So most of the time, through like Funeral Moon, Envelop in Darkness, Oath of the Arknight, you're going to be able to make like another rune chant pretty consistently in my eyes. The question is, can you make 3? 3 is like a little bit of a hurdle. You basically have to get it from like a prior card, like maybe Deathly Wail or something like that. Maybe a Mauve Skies if it hits. I think Mauve Skies is going to be really important to this deck personally. Not even so much for the Go Again, but for the if you let this hit, I'm going to yes, it has Go Again, but I'm going to have rune chants for my next turn, because you're probably not going to want to end with an attack. You're going to want to have rune chants at the end of your turn most turns. So because of that, 2 is going to be the premium because it's going to be most consistent. 3 is a little bit hard, but not too bad. 4, you got to really set up for it. And this card says, Rune Gate, so it costs 4, but if you have 4 rune chants, it's for free. When the combat chain closes, each hero who has lost life this turn banishes a card from their hand. So you're not going to want to do Vincent's second ability on this turn. Really, you're not going to want to. Unless you play this Mauve Skies into this maybe for free and then banish a card from your hand. Maybe it's a RuneGate card and you don't care anyway. On hit, create 2 or 3 rune chants from Mauve Skies. Like, there's some shenanigans with that. But for the most part, you're not going to want to do that. But this card does demand a lot of respect, because you're not going to want to pay 1 life most of the time on your turn, because then it's going to make you discard a card, right? Maybe you can't Arsenal. But you are going to want to say, okay, opponent, if you do not stop my rune chant or stop this 6-power attack, you're going to have to basically discard a card. Yes, you banish it, but it's basically you get rid of a card. So this almost forces blocks out of your opponent. It's really powerful. I can see why they made it a 4 cost, but I think it's definitely still an auto include. It's just going to be a little bit harder to get off for free. Let's put it that way, because you don't want to pitch 2 cards for this. You really don't, like, ever. Ever. And since you're giving up this card anyway at the start of the turn, that means you have to have at least a 3-card hand to get this off, unless you can do it for free. Widespread Destruction. This is 100% a sideboard card in my opinion. I don't think it's a main board. You could argue, since it's a yellow pitch, it'll be good for pitch value. But basically, it says when a combat chain closes, each hero who has lost life this turn banishes a card from the arsenal. I think it'll be good for heroes who care about that, like Bolton and Lexi and Azalea. But I think it's tech for those cards. I wouldn't run this in the main board, not because it's bad, but because I think there's other RuneGate cards that are better. And right now, I think you're going to be running like 24 to 27 RuneGate cards, and this just doesn't quite make the cut. Widespread Ruin, this is like your first staple. So this is a 2 cost. Almost all of your 2 costs, with the exception of like 2 of them, are staples in Vinset. RuneGate, if you have 2 rune chances for free, when the combat change closes, each hero who has lost life this turn banishes the top card of their deck. For you, that might not be as big of a deal because it could be a RuneGate, and then maybe you even set up a 5-card hand next turn, maybe not. Your opponent, it's basically like an Arachne ability or a contract ability, right? So super good for that. So I think this is an automatic include. Funeral Moon is interesting. You may play this from your banished zone. If a hero has lost life this turn, you may play this instant. So this is nice because there's some weird shenanigans you can do with this, right? Like, so let's just say, for argument's sake, you have this card in your hand, you have Shadow Puppetry, right? Or Mob's Guys. Actually, Shadow Puppetry, because it has to be a Shadow non-attack, can't be Mob's Guys. So you play this, then you play this, you banish this, then you play the Shadow Puppetry, you pay a life to make sure your rune chant can't be prevented. And then since a hero has lost life this turn, you can now play this as instant. You play this, create another rune chant for 2, and then all of a sudden this is coming in for 7 off Shadow Puppetry with Go Again on hit. Look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Shadow card, you may banish it. Whatever. Card Blood Debt. So it does have some use cases, I think. It's really good. You can even play it off cards like Envelop in Darkness, off of like a 3-card, 4-card hand, which is super nice because, you know, you banish this card, you pitch to play Envelop in Darkness, give your next RuneGate +3, you create a rune chant, you play this instant speed, create another rune chant, and then all of a sudden you can play a 3 cost, right? Like Deathly Wail for free. So it has some use cases. I definitely think it'll see play. I don't know if it's like an auto 3 of include, but it is really good if you can keep that rune chant going. Requiem of the Damned, I don't know what to think about this card yet. If a hero's lost life this turn, you can play it as though an instant, create an Eloquence token. I don't know how much Vinset's going to care about Eloquence tokens. It's really interesting that they gave her that mechanic, and it's making me want to sit and just imagine what that means, because I don't know why she cares about non-attack, giving non-attacks Go Again. Oblivion, I think this is a tech card. I don't know if this is a staple. It's not a 3-block. It's only can have a 1 of in the deck. If you have exactly 6 rune chants, you create a Soul Hower token. And if you look at that card, if we can find it. Sorry, I should have had this like pulled up immediately, but I did not. Professional YouTuber here. Okay, Nazareth's the Soul Harrow. First off, this card is sick looking. I can't wait to see this in Marvel. Once per turn action, don't pay anything. Attack when it hits a hero, banish a card from their soul. If it's a light card, this way gain 1 life. So it is a tech card against light. However, it's also really good. I had it open on their tab. That's funny. It's also really good just in general because it's a 6 life, 6 attack that they have to deal with. Otherwise, you're just going to keep attacking them for 6 every turn. You could literally block out and just keep attacking them for 6. It's super good. So this might be main boarded. I see it as a sideboard for like more techie matchups, similar to how Eclipse was in Chain. I think it's the same concept in this one, but let's see. Deathly Light. This card's amazing. It's so good. It's not like game changing, but it's just such good value. It's a 2 cost, 5 attack at red. At red, I think it's really good value. At yellow, it's okay value. Basically, you banish this, create a rune chant, and then if you play a non-attack, shadow non-attack, you pay life with yourself. When the combat change closes, gain life equal to the number of heroes who lost life this turn. So if you banish this and you play, let's say, a Shadow Puppetry or an Envelop in Darkness, create another rune chant, all of a sudden this is coming in for free. You paid the life to make sure your rune chant hit. Then your rune chant hit and you lost a life. So that's 2 heroes have lost life this turn. And since that technically their hero lost life from your rune chant already, it doesn't matter if this hits or not, you're going to gain 2 life. So you're going to pay a life to gain 2 life with this literally every time, as long as you can do the Vinset second ability. I think it's an auto include at red. It might be even include at yellow, just because you could do 0 for 4 on 0 for 4, gain 2 life. I think it'll be really good for, since Vincett's going to want to pay with her life a lot to make sure on hits hit. I think having 6 of these might actually be pretty consistent, but I definitely think the red's automatic. Deathly Whale, this card's the only 3 cost that I think is worth it, in my opinion. When the combat chain closes, create a rune chant token equal to the number of heroes who lost life this turn. So if you play, again, you banish this, create a rune chant token, play Pitch, or you pop like Vexing Cool Hand even, is really good for this. And then you play something like Shadow Puppetry. All of a sudden, this is 7, go again. And then you create 2 rune chants, right? So there's such some cool interactions. I definitely think it's at red. It might be argued to be at blue, just as like a late game card. It is 3 costs though, so it's a little bit dicey, but I think it's really good. Envelop in Darkness, auto include at red. It's so good. Pay 1 for a rune chant. Like I said, you want 2 rune chants is pretty consistent with Vincett, and giving your rune gate cards +3, and potentially making them free with the 2 costs is just so good. I definitely think it's auto include at red. I don't know about yellow and blue because it is a 2 block. You're not going to want a ton of blue 2 blocks in Vincett, but I think that the reds and maybe the yellows are definitely worth it. Rift Skitter, I don't like this card particularly. At best, it's a 0 for 4 go again. At worst, it's a 3 for 4 go again. So at best, it's 1 value above rate, and at worst, it's bad. You would only even consider this at red, and even then, it's a little bit dicey. There's a bunch of rumors that people think that this set was originally supposed to be a draft set, and cards like this make me think it was, because this is a draft card, right? Like, this is not a staple in Vincett. I think this set was supposed to be a draft set, and they changed it, but that's just me. Phantom Banshee, we've seen this. It's just a vanilla 3 for 7. If you have 3 rune chants, it's a 0 for 7. I don't think this is a bad card. I just don't think it makes the list. Like I said, you're going to want 24 to 27 rune gate cards or blood debt cards in general. And personally, I think Widespread makes the list. That's 3. This Widespread makes the list. That's 6. I think Deathly Delight makes the list. That's 9. You might even argue the yellows, but let's just keep the reds. That's 9. Whale makes 12. And then you're going to have cards like Bounding Demigod, Unhallowed Rites to cycle back in your Shadow non-attack actions. It's going to be really interesting to see if this makes the list. I think it might definitely make the list at blue just to have it if you can get the 3 rune chants. But who knows? I don't think so. Phantom Wraith, it's just a good 2 for 6. It's a 0 for 6 off Vincet's off Runegate, which is super nice. I definitely think this is just going to be a red just because it's potential 0 for 6, even though it doesn't have an on hit. Putrid Steerings, I don't know if this is worth it. I definitely wouldn't run it at yellow or blue. Red is considerable. The crappy thing is, in Flesh and Blood, most of the time, the ongoing rate for pumps is 0 resources for a +3 most of the time, or 1 resource for +3. 2 resources for a +4 is typically the rate, or 1 or 2. In Ranger, it's usually 1. In stuff like Pummel with on hit, it's 2. So for 3 resources, you would think it would have to be minimum plus, like, +5 is technically 1 below rate because 2 costs most of the time in this game is +4, or +3 depending on how things go. I don't know. It's interesting. 0 for +3, 1 cost should be +4, 2 costs should be +5. So I guess it is on rate when you think about it, but I just don't know if it's worth it, because it doesn't make a rune chant. If it made a rune chant, this would be sick. But it doesn't make a rune chant. So your card's still not free. So you have to make sure you can don't have to pay for the rune gate card. And that's if you didn't banish this card in the first place, right? So that's interesting. Scepter of Pain, it's a fun techie card. Sorry, Parker, don't get mad at me. But this card just isn't going to beat out Flail. It's just not. I wish it had AB on it. Then you could run it as like the other hand and you get another AB, but I think that would have been too good. Dyadic Carapace. This card has been really contested. Some people in the Twitter and Discord communities think this card is bad. I think it's good. Right now, there is 0 chess pieces in the game that have AB2 of any class, any generic, anything. This is the only chess piece in the game with AB2. The only legendary. Sorry. There might be other cards. I checked the legendaries. No legendary in the game has AB2. Only 6 legendaries in the game have 3 block or better, and that includes Carrion Husk. So it's in a very unique league. It doesn't have any other ability. People were saying it's boring. It needed another ability. But like if you give this thing another ability, all of a sudden it's broken. Right? So I think they did a good job on this one. It's definitely, I think, an auto include because it goes in for Wizard and it goes in for against decks where you need the extra block. Bequest of Vast Beyond. This is a Viscerai specialization. The next Runeblade attack action card you play turn costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control. This is literally Bloodchief Scalata in a card. They snuck in Bloodchief Scalata in a card. That's hilarious. I just think this is funny. This card's an auto include. It's literally Bloodchief Scalata. It's hilarious. Runic Reckoning. This is an automatic and been set because this costs. It's always going to be free and been set, so it's automatic +3 to any of her Runeblade attacks, even the Shadow Runeblade, and it's a 3 block. So it's always going to be of 0 for 3, 3 block and been set, and that's just premium. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. I think other cards you can look at obviously are Shadow Puppetry, Oath of the Arknight, Howl from Beyond are really good. I think that, like looking at my deck, I'm not going to do the full deck tech this time at all. But I think that's a really good one. I think Bounding Demigod and Mauve Skies are going to be something to look at. Runeblood Incantation is going to be something to look at. Swarming Gloomveil is going to be automatic because it always will have Go Again due to Vincett's ability. Tear Through the Portal is going to be really good. Why was this not... Oh, it's because I didn't have it on Shadow. Yeah, I think that overall it's going to be really, really good. I'm super excited to see kind of, how things shape up, so to speak, with this set. Because like if we just go to Shadow here, even we'll add Runeblade. Actually, just Shadow is probably the best thing. There's a lot of Shadow Brute stuff. I didn't remember seeing anything crazy for just Shadow other than Tear Through the Portal is really big. But yeah, super excited. This Dabble in Darkness is another one, but I don't think that's going to be anything too crazy. Chains in Mephitis. You may play this from your banish zone. If you do, it enters the arena with a Doom counter at the start of your turn. Destroy it unless it has a Doom. You remove a Doom counter from it. If a hero would draw a card during the action phase, instead they banish the top card of their deck and may play it this turn. That's really interesting. I mean, they could banish like a D-React, but even then, like this card's kind of It's kind of weird, majestic. Dimensional Vortex. This is a good sideboard card. You may play this from your banish zone. If you do, it costs 2 less to play, so it's for 1. Each hero banishes a card from their arsenal. Really good against like Lexi. Good tech card. There's a couple other shadow options. If you have an opposing hero with 1 or more cards in their soul, this is a tech card. This is another card that shows me like, was this set supposed to be draftable? Because this is a draft card. This is a draft card. This is a draft card. Potentially. This one's a little bit better. If you may play this from your banish zone. If you do, it costs 2 less to play, so it's free. Target hero banishes the top card of the deck. If it's red, they lose 1. That's pretty good just to make people banish cards. If this Fini has 1 or more cards in their soul, this gets +2. The next, this gets +2. That's really a tech card. This is a tech card against light. This is an okay card. Choose an attack action card in your banish zone. It gets +3 until end of turn. I could see this being a good min set. It is a 2 block though, which kind of sucks. And it doesn't make a rune chant. And then Tear Through the Portal. So out of the generic Shadow cards, I think Tear Through the Portal is definitely good for Vincett. Beseech the Demigod. These cards, Soul Cleaver and Soul Butcher, are tech cards for light. Vile Inquisition's potential, but I doubt it. And then Grim Feast and Hungering Demigod are definitely tech cards for light. Again, they're like draft cards. The Shadow Equipment is the last thing I'll talk about. This card is interesting. One of 2 things happened here. Either A, they're trying to help PvE / commoner, and they're just putting in like quell equipment basically for people who can't afford like the higher stuff, which is awesome if that's the case. Or this was supposed to be a draft set and they just didn't change the cards out when they decided to make it a supplemental set at whatever point that was. That's the way I look at it. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. But yeah, if you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the cards. Let me know what cards you're excited about. I'm super excited about Vincent. I'll be doing a spoiler video, or not spoiler, God, a video on Vincent as a whole, kind of giving my thoughts on her deck, just initial like build, nothing like deck techie crazy, just a little bit. But yeah, thank y'all so much. Hopefully y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all next time on TC Talk. Thank y'all so much.